After 2.5 decades in India, Honda has finally made a big statement that it is now fully invested into the premium motorcycling space in India. The company recently held a large event where it showed off 10 brand new products, 8 of which are for its big wing dealer network. And these products are all coming soon. And that's what we're here to discuss on this week's episode of Deep Drive, our weekly automotive podcast powered by Kotak Mahindra Prime. I'm Rishaad Mody.
I am Ketan Thakkar. Yes, Rishaad. I mean, I've never seen a barrage of new models coming from Honda motorcycle in such a short span of time. We knew that they've been attempting to break into the premium end of the market for a while. The first attempt was made with the CB350. Bit by bit, they've inched up to about 5 to 6,000 units per month. But clearly, you expected a lot more. And I remember speaking to you about the EICMA show, and what we saw at display in Italy was a crazy portfolio from Honda motorcycle. And I asked you as well, when are we going to see similar kind of action? Well, we're not going to get that portfolio, those larger big bikes in India, but it was really heartening to see at Yashobhumi, 8 out of the 10 offerings going to be sold out of the big wing outlet. A show of intent from the company that it really wants to play a much bigger role. And what is different this time around is that the two major vehicle platform and the engine platform, which is a 300cc and 500cc, is localized. So to me, that's the exciting part. What do you think about it? I mean, you've seen the multiple models coming in from their side. They looked stunning, to be honest. Whether they'll be able to deliver the same kind of character in the mid-size avatar, what do you think?
Unfortunately, I wasn't at the event, but followed it very closely. And look, it's not like they've never done premium before. Like you said, they've done 350s, but you go all the way back to 2012 or so, and you had the CBR 250, and they did the CBR 150, and then they did the CB 300. But they've been in fits and spurts, and then not very often, and not a lot of commitment towards it. And either they launch it at a very high price and then bring the price down to a reasonable level, like what happened to the CB 300R, localize it, but it lost its fizz, and they've done this consistently over the years, but this time is different. I what stood out to me is there's so many different platforms. You've got ADV 160 on a new 160cc scooter platform, CB 500, and this makes me smile, not to gloat very much, but I remember you and me sitting here about a year ago, and you said that they're going to bring an adventure scooter to India. They're going to bring a new 500 to India. We didn't know what the 500 was at that point, but it's nice to see these things finally come to fruition. Rebel 300, not entirely new platform, new chassis, but the same engine as the CB 300, which is already localized.
Right.
You've got the Rebel 500 now, which was on sale in India as a CBU. Now coming in as localization, the first time they're localizing a twin-cylinder platform for India. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a very well-established twin-cylinder engine platform overseas, been out for ages, but it's being made here now, and that's a big deal, and it's a solid product. You've also got the off-road 300s. There is some disappointment in the community about which 300s they brought down.
Right.
These are the XR300s, XR300L, XR300 Rally, which use an air-cooled engine, which comes off the CB300F, that another product that they launched.
Yep.
They launched it too high a price, they lowered the price, and then they went and discontinued it.
Right.
But this uses that same engine. And then you've got finally what looks like a logical electric scooter from Honda. This is the QC3 floorboard batteries. So the boot isn't completely stolen by the batteries. Decent amount of battery size, decent amount of promised performance. So that is the new products. There were also some updates to the 350 lineup and things like that, but that's where your 10 bikes come from. I think to show off so many products at one point is unusual for Honda.
Yeah.
I think they want to make this statement.
Indeed.
That, look, we're now taking premium seriously. And while that's great for the enthusiast, it's not because the enthusiast has been asking Honda, give us these bikes, that Honda's doing this. There's another reason that you wanted to share about why Honda's doing this.
Rishaad, it goes without saying that the competitive pressure is insane, right? I mean, the attempt with CB350 and taking on Royal Enfield, they learned, it's not easy. You not only got to have a strong product proposition in terms of the way it rides, quality, but you also got to have right pricing, decent enough network, and it was hard. And even as it was trying to, eat into the pie of Royal Enfield, quietly in the backdrop, company like TVS Motor, Suzuki was eating away into Honda motorcycles presence in
And very
scooter.
poor presence, yeah.
And I mean, when I was looking at the numbers, and there was a detailed story by our colleague Ajit Dalvi at Autocar Professional. In the last 10 years, Rishaad, if I were to just segue a little bit into the scooter space, TVS Motor Company has doubled its market share from 14 to 28%. And the biggest loser is Honda Motorcycle. Honda Motorcycle had 57% share. That has slipped to 39% share. And clearly, the gains were not only in the scooter space, but even in the motorcycle space. TVS has been growing its presence bit by bit. We've seen the Apache, the attempt with Ronin, the RTR, the RTX now, and then there is, they have the engine platform and the vehicle platform. So there's going to be a lot coming in from the TVS Motor Company side. Suzuki in the scooter space has been growing well, and they've also been surprised by Hero MotoCorp on the electric two-wheeler front.
So, yeah.
The Vida has done really well. So clearly they've realized that the competitive pressure in India is intense, and if there's one thing that they need to fix is the product planning. They already have a strong R&D center here in India. They've been designing and developing products out of India for the local market. But I would say that the focus used to be significantly towards Hero's portfolio in the past. What has changed now is that now Honda is opening up to a much wider portfolio. It is now keen on growing the space in the 350cc category. It now wants to ensure that it has solid offering in the 200 to 350cc category. So that's a big change that we have seen. And another shocking fact, and I was surprised when I saw the number, 2017 Honda sold 3.18 million scooters. FY26, it sold 3.16 million. So if you were to see, the scooter sales of Honda has remained the same in the last decade, whereas the scooter market, grew from about 5 million to 8 million.
Wow.
So where has that volume gone?
Right.
Clearly, TVS and Suzuki have made a significant inroads. So they really need to fix the scooter space in order to hold on to their own. And, electrification is another avenue which a lot of us have been really curious to know as to what exactly the strategy is. They've been extremely slow. You feel the QC3 is a good start. But again, I really do not understand the attempt of reaching out to only select few markets.
And they're going to do that here as well. It's going to be a phased launch starting.
So, I mean, I really do not understand. So, I think Honda, while it's aggressive on the motorcycle space, I really feel that they need to fix the scooter space as well. So, I think it's a multiple track. But what has changed is that the lens has changed. What has changed is there is an aggressive intent. What has changed is there is now portfolio which is highly localized. And what's interesting is that now they can look at a global portfolio, localize it in India, and they took a strategic call as well of converting Manesar into a global motorcycling export factory. So that also have been some of the key steps taken by the brand. I know sometimes we get a little desperate and exasperated at the speed at which Honda operates. But if you were to really look at the last 5 to 7 years, there has been some kind of a method to how they are approaching India. And looking at way the global markets have been behaving, they know that India is the market for future, and there's a lot more that they want to do in India. And this, to me, has been a really strong foot forward from Honda, and I just hope that this sustains, because I was lucky to be there at Yashobhumi where the range of models were showcased, and talking to Usui-san, who's the director sales and marketing. And one of the things that came out clearly from the conversation with him is that the Indian consumer today is very well aware, exposed. They are aware of the global portfolio of Honda, and something that's got to change in the future is the speed of product introduction. So that's a heartening sign. What we saw was took us by surprise. 10 models, 8 of them in big wing, and there is that assurance that going ahead in the future, there's going to be a lot more coming up from Honda motorcycle. But again, what surprised me was the pricing, at the
Not
time
being
of
announced,
launch. That was quite unique. I mean, we after the launch, we were reaching out to the PR team trying to understand, but they've shared the insights with the dealers. You've spent some time understanding
Right.
pricing, positioning, which according to you is the most exciting model coming in from Honda's side today.
Look, it is strange how they did it. To create all this excitement and then give almost no details, not even on terms of pricing and launch timelines, but just basic specifications.
Yeah.
Half the stuff wasn't even told to us. Some vehicles we knew what the engine specifications were, some we don't.
Yeah.
So why they've done that, I'm not sure, but we do know some things. Now I've
Right.
got some details out
Yeah.
here. We know that everything will be here by March.
So everything's coming. 10 models coming
Yes.
in the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. So by March of 2027, everything we've seen will be on sale. Nothing in August, but they will start by September, and the first of them will be the ADV 160. Now, this is an unusual case.
Yeah.
There are some vehicles in here that you're going to be surprised by how well priced they are. And some
Will disappoint us.
is, I wouldn't say typical Honda disappointment, but could have been better, let's say that. So what I'm hearing is that the ADV 160 is going to be here in the third quarter, which means we're looking at end September, early October.
Right.
And we're looking
Peak
at
festive season, actually.
we're looking at
Good
a
time.
price of 1.7 to 1.8 lakh rupees ex showroom. All the prices I'm going to share now are ex showroom. This is not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not catastrophically expensive. I think if you go upwards towards 2 lakhs, then you're killing the product dead on arrival. For reference, Yamaha Aerox, which is again a Japanese 150, 160cc liquid cooled maxi scooter with the central spine, similar sort of product, is around 1.48 lakh rupees.
Right.
The NMAX 155 is coming. We've reported on that. Again, you
Yes.
were the one who broke that information some time ago. That will be here maybe end of this year or maybe Bharat Mobility. That will be more expensive than the Aerox. And I think this is a closer comparison to the NMAX, the
Right.
ADV 160.
Right.
So let's see what the NMAX costs. I think this price will make more sense when the NMAX is on sale in India. You also have to remember that this product is flex fuel. For some reason, they have only done flex fuel and not standard as well as flex fuel. A flex fuel vehicle, in our understanding, adds about 5 to 6% to the cost of the vehicle.
But it can run on normal fuel, right?
It can run on normal fuel, but you're paying that extra cost
Extra
for the
cost.
flex fuel capability, and
Right.
then not selling it as a normal flex fuel, as a normal E20 vehicle.
And not fair to compare it with Bergman or Ntorq
No.
150, right?
This is a completely different thing. The Ntorq 150 is like a sort of conventional scooter with a nice peppy 150cc air-cooled engine.
Right.
This is a maxi scooter, proper maxi scooter chassis.
Right. More premium, more
Much
upmarket.
more premium, much bigger presence. This will be a different thing to ride. Then we have the CB500. This is the one that I find disappointing, but I also understand why. We expect this to come maybe October of this year. Beautiful retro style 500cc single cylinder engine and capitalizing on something that Royal Enfield gave up on. When we moved to BS6, Royal Enfield killed their 500cc single.
That was a surprise, yeah.
And I have spoken to my friends at the company, and I have spoken quite passionately because I really like the J Series 350cc engine. I just wish it had about 20-30% more power with that character, and a 500 would have been beautiful. But they say, look, it doesn't make sense for us because we go too close to our 650.
Right.
So we are keeping the 650 and the 450 liquid cooled as the bigger options, and we have the 350 Echo. So that's Royal
They
Enfield's plan.
stick to 350, 440 and 450.
And now 440 as well in the
Yeah.
Himalayan and upcoming Himalayan.
Yeah.
So Honda has this opportunity to seize something that Royal Enfield left behind. The bike looks lovely, and I'm very curious to see what it'll ride like. But we believe it's going to cost around 3 lakh rupees.
How does it stack up against the competition?
Why is 3 lakh rupees? Well, the Highness is about 2 lakh rupees. Now let's assume that this bike costs the same as the Highness 350, 2 lakh rupees. Just the difference in GST alone would be 40,000 rupees.
Oh, yes.
Because the Highness is paying 18%,
Right.
and here you're paying 40%. It's nearly 20% more.
Yeah, significant change in
So-
tax structure recently.
That alone is a big chunk in the price. And then obviously Honda has to price in the premiumness of this bike. And the top models have cross-spoked tubeless wheels, which are expensive things. You've got a little more in terms of the display and the bigger engine. So we're looking at around 3 lakh rupees, which puts it quite on par with the 650 base starting price.
Of Interceptor.
Yeah, and Guerrilla Royal Enfield 450 is cheaper than this. Not direct comparisons because there is nothing like this. The Harley would be cheaper than this as well, the 440. So let's see how this goes.
That's why, Rishad, I feel, we've been tracking the development of 300cc and 500cc. And sometimes, while we, complain about the speed, we know that, when Honda does it, it does it well, good quality, good localization.
Yeah.
But, I just wish if it was launched before the GST announcement would
man.
have come, they would have probably...
If this
established-
bike came 2 years ago, they could have built a brand.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been punished with this new GST thing. Like, look, this GST regulation is killing our industry's ability to take on the Chinese.
Yeah.
The Chinese are building middleweight and high-end motorcycles, and we would have taken them on if we were incentivized to do that. And I don't see our industry going into that space
Yeah, sad.
with the same gusto that they would have.
Sad. I mean, we're probably, India is the biggest base of mid-sized motorcycling in the world, and we could have. And I remember Siddharth Lal just running up to the GST announcement had kind of appealed, and
it was a very heartfelt appeal.
Appealed that if this happens, then globalizing Indian two-wheeler market, will face significant hurdles. And yeah, it's sad. I mean,
It's a very short-sighted policy, and it's very unfortunate to what it is, but it is what it is.
It is what
and
it
if
is.
Honda had been faster with this platform, they could have beaten this unexpected GST shift, and they could have built a brand.
Yeah.
And that could have taken them forward. You also have to remember that Royal Enfield is clearly absorbing this GST hit on its 450 and 650 bikes.
Indeed.
How much is Honda going to want to do that? I don't know. They're not the type of company that is that. They say this is what it is, this is what it is.
They're a
pay for
bottom
it.
line. They're a bottom line focused company, and they don't have the scale of Royal Enfield as well when it comes to the premium end of the market.
And Royal Enfield doesn't have that much of an option.
Yeah.
This is a very important thing for them.
Yeah,
They don't have scooters and things like that to prop up the bottom end. So that is the CB500. Now on to some good news.
Yeah.
We have the Rebel 300. Same engine as the CB300 that was in India localized. So they had the engine. Now they've got the whole bike made here. We were expecting this to be 2.3, 2.4 lakh rupees. But I'm hearing it's going to be more like 2.1.
Oh, lovely.
For starting. That puts it right on par with things like some of the more expensive classic 350 models, and it makes it a lot more relevant. They've also got the e-clutch technology, which is when we spoke to Otani-san about a year ago, the Honda CEO, India CEO, he said that they were looking into a more cost-effective version of the e-clutch for India. But as I understand, what's actually come here is the same as international technology. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to ride any of these Honda e-clutch bikes. They don't have the media bikes. But the way it works is the clutch is electronically controlled, that you don't have to use the clutch lever, but you do have to change gears.
Right.
So in India, where you're stuck in traffic, you don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Just let it be and change gears manually using the quick shifter.
That's
I
great.
think that could be really nice.
It's very similar to IMT that we have in cars.
Yeah, similar sort of concept. Yeah. So I understand from friends that this technology will cost them about 40 to 50,000 rupees.
That's a lot of money.
But now we have to see how much do they absorb for the Rebel 300 standard versus Rebel 300 E-Clutch. Because if they want to build a following for this technology, it cannot cost 40, 50,000 rupees more than the manual edition. So we'll see what that costs. Rebel 500, not too bad, not too great. We're expecting that it'll be here Jan-Feb next year. And that it'll cost about 4.7 lakh rupees.
This was imported earlier, right?
This was fully imported earlier now, and it was about 5.5 back then. We're looking at about 4.7 now. What it'll cost with the e-clutch, I don't know. There's going to be e-clutch and regular. It will go against things like the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. It's a small but meaningful segment, and I think it will find takers, but it's not going to be a game changer in any way. The next really interesting ones are the off-roaders. Now, there's a bit of a story behind this that... why did we get this and not the CRF 300L? Now, Honda actually brought CRF 300L to India sometime last year, and they were spotted at an off-road academy, and they were getting customer insights on these bikes. And they also had a bike with it called the Sahara, which is a Brazil market model, which uses this engine.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, this CRF, this XR300 and XR300 Rally, as far as I can tell, and they haven't revealed specifications or details, but as far as I can tell, is based on the Sahara platform, but with new design for India.
Right.
So this looks like a uniquely designed product for us, but using that same platform. We are looking at proper off-road capability. Looks like lots of ground clearance, proper 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear wheel. Will probably have a very tall seat. That's just the way these bikes are. But I'm hearing the price is going to be very competitive.
Is it?
And from what I've heard, possibly 2.1 starting, 2.0 to 2.1, somewhere there. And the Rally, which has a bigger fuel tank, a little more adventure touring, 2.2. So now this gets very interesting. Now you are a little more than an X-Pulse, but you're also giving Honda, you're giving 300cc. And we know this engine can be flex fuel compatible because it
It's
was in
already
the
borrowed from
CB300F.
Brazil.
It was in the CB300F that was flex fuel compatible in India. They could do that if they wanted to. And it's at a good price point. It's cheaper than a lot of the proper ADV bikes, the bigger ADV bikes, and it's there. Why did they not bring the CRF 300? I believe it's this ethanol uncertainty.
Okay.
I think that is what made them go in this direction. Do they still intend to bring the CRF to India? I'm not sure, but that has the same engine as the Rebel 300, so theoretically they could do it. The engine is localized; they just need to make the chassis here. Still possible, but right now the air-cooled, oil-cooled 300 is the priority.
Now, it's great to see. I mean, so does that mean that now Honda well and truly taking on Royal Enfield with so many different form factors? And clearly, I mean, they've been working very hard to localize them. And that is why the kind of pricing range that we are hearing.
Yeah.
I just hope that they surprise us further.
This is
and
going to bring a lot more people into Honda.
Indeed.
This is going to bring people who are buying Himalayans, KTM Adventures, people who are buying Triumphs. This is going to bring Royal Enfield people in for the Rebels, for the CB500. So I see bringing new customers in. And Ryu guys recently did a very nice story speaking to Otani-san about how Honda needs to keep its customer and not only attract new customers. I think this does both for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we always tend to get fascinated, at least at the business end, with headlines like, when is Honda going to become number one? And that's a question that we keep asking. From Honda's side, it is clear that, you focus on quality, you focus on ground zero, understand the customer, design, develop product that meets the requirement of the customer. Sometimes it may take 6-8 months longer, maybe a couple of years longer. But at the end of the day, bring out the product that meets all their techno-commercial viability. I mean, all these products not only have to meet the customer demand, but also their bottom line. And which is where the statement from the president of the company was that, for us, the most important thing is happy customers. Now, while in the short term, when you lose market share, it may appear, oh my God, what's really happening? But if you are able to deliver quality bikes that eventually gets you fantastic resale value, which is what Honda is known for.
Honda really does that well. Yeah.
Honda is known for. So it's a game for the long term.
Yeah.
Few things that impressed me is that overt focus on designing and developing locally. Overt focus on using India as an export hub. India
I think that's
is
the best thing for us, that
Absolutely.
they're using us as an export hub.
which means you're getting global quality at India cost, which means when your lens is to look at the global market, you're looking at different product portfolio which you would not have imagined earlier. You would have been having that lens of what are the products needed for the Indian market. Once you start looking at the global market, then you feel like, okay, probably this may also make sense to the Indian market. And that's how you kind of have different form factors and body style. And that is what has changed. So, and another interesting thing that I hear, I mean, we've been critical of constant change in top management at Japanese companies. I mean, they have this unique management structure wherein, the CEO, MD sticks around in a company for or a country for about 3 years, and then there is the change in the management. But with the changing management, you also bring in a fresh lens.
Right.
Now, what I hear is that it's no more about looking at the future with the past lens. Let's look at the present. Let's look at how the market is changing rather than using past as a reference point. And that is a refreshing change for me, if you were to really ask me, Rishaad. So there's a lot happening on ground. This is a refreshing new Honda that we are seeing. Of course, when that happens, there's churn in the management. There are different people at different setup. Exits sometimes make you raise eyebrow as to what's really happening at the company. But there is change happening at the company, and some of it is really constructive. And with the pricing that you're talking about, I think this is the real Honda premium push that we are seeing in the marketplace. And the top management has assured us that, this is how the future is going to be. You're going to be seeing a lot more product action, a lot more development here, and a lot more models being exported from here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it makes more people look at Honda seriously in terms of what bike they'd like to buy. I suddenly find a few motorcycles here that look appealing to me, and I never thought I would walk into a Honda showroom and buy something because nothing appeals to me in what they have to sell right now. Except for some of the big bikes, which are big bikes. I must talk about. I've found out some information about big bikes as well. Not particularly exciting. Nothing is going to be dramatically different in terms of what they're selling. They will continue with their current lineups. So they've got the Hornet 750, which now comes with e-clutch. They're really pushing on e-clutch, and I think theoretically e-clutch is a fabulous thing for our environment. I have just been riding the BMW 450 GS, and while I understand that a lot of my colleagues in the industry don't like it, that it takes away the sort of connection of motorcycling, I think I've been riding long enough in big cities that I can sacrifice a little bit of connection for peace of mind, for just an easier experience. And I enjoyed being stuck in traffic. I didn't care that it was jammed. My left hand had no fatigue in the forearm. I was very happy. I enjoyed it. So e-clutch could be a nice thing. They're going to do the Transalp for adventure bikes. Still no Africa Twin. It's not been here for a while. It doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. And we hear it's something to do with fuel compatibility. Sorry, I got that wrong. It's emissions compatibility. There's something about the Africa Twin engine.
Okay.
Fuel compatibility is another thing that I'll get to.
Yes.
A couple of bikes that were very popular with Honda big bikes in India were the 4-cylinder 650s, the CB 650R and the CBR 650R. No longer available, and doesn't look like they're coming back anytime soon. This I hear is an ethanol compatibility thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and they briefly brought in an XADV, which was a twin-cylinder, weird sort of adventure scooter thing, unusual thing. Also not coming back for a while. So they'll be sticking with the bikes they currently have, which is the Fireblade 1000, the massive and amazing Goldwing, the Transalp, and the Hornet, essentially, in the big bike space.
Now, really heartening to see as to how there is now some kind of method to how they are restructuring their future portfolio. But I'm still quite disappointed with their scooter strategy. I still don't understand the pricing, the potential pricing of ADV 160.
I find that confusing as well.
Yeah.
I don't think they're very confident about it. I get the sense that they're not sure how well it's going to do here, and they're testing the waters.
You know, I mean, given the fact that we have decent insight into the sourcing world as well, the annual plan appears to be not more than 50,000 units, and out of them,
50,000.
50,000 units per annum. And a significant part, or rather some part, significant I don't know, but some part of it is also going to be exported to the global market. Yeah. So we're talking about what, probably 3,000 to 4,000 units per month. Another factor that disappoints me is their electric strategy. Yes, company has been reiterating this fact that they still feel that India is going to go multi-pathway. Okay, give it. India is going to go multi-pathway. But what are you doing to address it? They don't have hybrids. So what is the alternate? Flex fuel, yes. They are flex fuel ready, given the fact that they brought in a lot of these global platforms from Brazil into India. But I expect a lot more on the electrification front.
I agree with you.
I mean, I understand 3 years back, 4 years back, if you would have asked them as to what their EV strategy is, and you would give us that response that market is still evolving. Now, Indian market has hit a massive scale. Just the 6 months of 2026, Rishaad, we are about to reach 1 million. We were 1.4 million last financial year. We are hitting scale. We've seen legacy players now using that as a significant edge. In fact, dealers tell us that, it's the iQube which sells Jupiter now. It's the Vida which has helped in building volumes of Destiny. Clearly, once you are able to establish yourself in the electric powertrain space, then there's a positive resonance around the brand. And we've seen what has happened with the TVS and its market share. It's phenomenal. I think
losing out.
Yeah, I think yes, QC3 probably from a product proposition perspective.
Product-wise, it looks sensible.
Yeah.
The first two products they did not make sense.
Yeah.
The QC1 was just under par and underwhelming.
Yeah.
And the Activa E relied entirely on the swapping network, which doesn't exist.
Right.
And had a exorbitant price, and it just did not make sense. From what we've seen product-wise, this could work.
Yeah.
This is right there, that 3 kilowatt decent boot space.
Yeah.
Looks like what you get from an iQube or a Chetak. And for it to work, it has to be priced like an iQube or a Chetak. And I hope they are going to get that right. And I hope they don't do what Suzuki has done with the EXS, for example.
It's quite crazy pricing, no?
1.9 lakhs. It's 50,000-60,000 rupees more than well-established competition. Yes, they'll sell 1,000 or 2,000 units a month, and that's the initial thing. But there's no scope for that to do well.
You got to be serious. You can't have a token presence in the category. Having been curious to know about Honda's plans, I've gone back to the vendor fraternity to try and understand if there are EVs under works. And yes, there are electric products under works. But clearly, I expect a lot more from Honda when it comes to electrification. The management keep reiterating this fact that the residual value is extremely critical, and they are of the opinion that it's only in the last 5 years that we've seen significant amount of scooters being sold. It is now that we will get to see the life of the battery and the state of charge, and how valuable those factors are going to be in determining the residual value.
But they're 7 years too late to the game.
I agree
They've
with you.
waited 7 years to see how these scooters age and battery and things like that. How long is it going to take for them to catch up?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I
agree.
know you and Hormaz have discussed plenty of time sitting right here about how the Japanese just don't seem convinced by electric. But whether they're convinced or not, the industry is going
Moving.
forward, and I think
And on
they're
the
really
two-wheeler
being left
front,
behind.
on the two-wheeler front, it is galloping ahead, and they've hit a scale, they've hit a viability point wherein they can start making money. Yes, supply chain is still a big question mark, and that's something that Honda wants to fix before it
Right.
can go in for a large scale. But it'll be too late, and that is one of the big reasons why the scooter market share has fallen significantly, because we are still sticking to. I mean, I hear from dealers that it's a pressure to sell 110 now. You have to offer discounts, in order to sell 110. 125 is doing well for them, but it's not easy. At the end of the day, the overall portfolio weight then falls onto the larger brand. So there is action lined up. Not to say that there are no products coming in from Honda side, but just that I think the pace of change is different, and India somewhere behaves very much like how the Chinese do, wherein products come in faster, consumers replace products faster. So I think at least the youth of India is really looking forward to a lot many products, and especially on the electrification front. What Honda's banking on is deeper penetration of scooters. It is relying on tier 1, tier 2, even villages buying family scooters, which I agree. There's definitely a lot more potential, and you are also of the opinion that the share of scooter in the market could be much higher.
It will
And that's where you'll get the future volume coming from. But expect a lot more from Honda on the electrification front.
I have two ways of thinking about it. At one point, I worry, will they be left behind? But then I think about what happened with manufacturers versus startups. Everyone was talking about the startups are going to leave the manufacturers behind. But once they got into the game,
Yeah.
they have taken the lead.
Yeah.
How easy will it be for the Japanese to do that in India? How much can they push that Activa access brand recall and,
Yeah.
clob that back? Maybe they can. Maybe it's not that much of a disaster. I don't know. But for me, one thing is clear. I believe Honda is here to stay in the premium game.
Yes.
Big Wing is something they're constantly expanding, pushing on that. While the 350s as an overall have not done as well as Honda would have liked, they are still the most successful rival to Royal Enfield to date.
Absolutely.
More than Triumph, more than Harley, more than pretty much anyone else who's taken a bite at that.
Yeah.
Also, what being said, that success has not come at RE's expense. RE has grown themselves.
Absolutely.
But the fact is that Honda is the most successful of the rest.
Yes.
These new products are going to bolster Big Wing, which is going to take Big Wing into more areas. The Indian buyer nowadays is discerning, wants good things, and finally Honda is bringing good things to India. So
Yeah, I just hope that the similar footprint or the plan is there on the electrification front as well. So I'm just hoping that what they did with a CB 350 4 years back, they're doing with Activa E or QC3 at this point in time. Hopefully, the lessons learned in these 3-4 years will eventually start translating into probably a portfolio of electric, motorcycles or scooters largely. Scooters largely. If you ask me, there's only one change that is needed, and that is the a factor of belief, that they got to believe that electrification is going to play an important role. Yes, the future is multi-pathway, but today electric vehicle market is becoming larger, and all that they need is belief, technology they have, capability they have, manufacturing they have, R&D they have. It's just a matter of belief, and hopefully one day they'll pass that hurdle, and hopefully 3 years down the line we'll see a similar kind of a lineup on the electrification front. But exciting on the premium bike front, and I'm still asking for more for EVs.
with your point on belief, perhaps it's also they should have belief in their sources from India. I get the sense that everything comes from Japan.
Yeah.
This is the way we will do it. These are the directions we will take.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not a lot of information going from here, and I think, like we've discussed before, more Indian leadership, more people with ears on the ground, understanding how things really work, and that would also help them.
I agree. I can't agree more, Rishaad. But yeah, exciting times, and look forward to Honda playing a bigger role in the premium end of the market.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the next few months. Lots of exciting new bikes to try out. So it's a good time when Honda does big things, and Honda is the biggest Japanese player. Honda is the biggest two-wheeler player in the world. When Honda does things, others generally follow. So hopefully we'll see some more action from Yamaha and Suzuki and Kawasaki. So it's a good time. And I think on that note, we can wrap up. So as always, Deep Drive airs at 11 a.m. every Saturday. And if you don't want to watch this, you just want to give it a listen, we're also on Apple Music and Spotify.